Want to take a couple minutes to look at the changes that have been made for the 2016-2017 school year. A few of these changes will push into the fall, but hopefully most or all will be done by January 1. One of the biggest changes you'll notice is changes to the district wireless. From a district-wide standpoint, we no longer support the older wireless technology of 2.4 gigahertz and have moved everybody to 5 gigahertz. If you notice that any of your devices are not connecting, your personal devices, for instance, aren't connecting, or you don't see the PLSD wireless or the PAPLV guest wireless, it probably means that you do not have a 5 gigahertz card. Technology office would be happy to point you in the direction of where you can buy a card. Some older phones don't support this, and it would be easier probably to get a new phone in those situations than try to switch out the card. The elementary level, all new wireless points have been added. All buildings have gone from a minimum of 15 access points to now a minimum of 20 access points. We did walk all buildings this summer, and we made sure that every classroom has 100% coverage. And that can change as people and devices move in. We plan on going out this fall and doing an analysis after people are in the buildings as well. At the secondary, we've added some newer model access points. And then this fall, we're also going to work on moving access points out of the hallways and into the classrooms. We started that a few years ago, and this fall we'll spend some time moving access points that are still in the hallways into classrooms. One of the other things you'll notice is a new web filter. For the last 6 years, we've used a system called Lightspeed. We're moving to a system called Content Keeper now. The very bottom link here is a link to a YouTube video that I created about how to log into Content Keeper and what block pages look like. Unfortunately, items that we've whitelisted over the last 6 years, not all items were able to be moved. Some we were unable to see. In fact, there were quite a few that we were unable to see. So if you've got items that you know were whitelisted before, please send those into the help desk and we can get those whitelisted. The block page also looks different, but it's got some good information, and the video will go through that. One of the other changes that's been made with the web filters, we've gone from just a student and a staff group to a default group, a student group, and a staff group. Anybody who's not logged into Content Keeper or were unable to retrieve your credentials goes in as the default group. That default group, we are currently blocking things like Twitter and Facebook and some of those. The student group, those are still all open. One of the reasons we decided to do this was to encourage more people to log into the web filter, which helps us track and monitor what people are doing throughout their day on the web. This will be an item for discussion as the year goes on, but we want to start at this method and see how it works. Probably the most publicized change this year has been the fact that we are adding computers at all levels. And then the other piece is that we are upgrading OS. Last year we began the upgrade to Windows 10, but that should be complete by January 1st of this year. All new machines that came in, so all elementary and middle school machines that came in will be Windows 10, and we'll have some work to do to get the high schools finished off, but hope to have that done by January 1st of 2017. The other exciting news here is we're moving down to a 2.5 to 1 ratio, and that's not including teacher machines. So if you take teacher machines out of the equation, we previously were at about a 3.5 to 1 ratio. We're going to move to a 2.5 to 1 ratio, so the availability of devices should be much greater. One of the other major changes that was made this summer is all phones were completely switched out. Previously, we had managed our own phone system and replaced systems as needed. We're moving to what's called an IP-centrics that's going to be run by Cox, and they will take care of almost all the tickets that come from here. So all phones have been changed out. One of the big things that has confused people is you no longer need to dial 9 to get an outside line, just start dialing the number. Phones run on a separate network, which is also different from our previous system. So if our network has problems, phones should stay up and running. Voicemails from Cox will also convert to text, so you'll get the WAV file, you'll be able to listen to it, but you'll also be able to see what they said if you're in a meeting and you don't want to open it up right there. One of the other things we'll be doing this fall is all teachers will receive a voicemail box. We're shooting for a October timeline of that, with it completed by November 1st, 2016. The great thing about that is if a parent calls in for a teacher, secretary is going to be able to send them just right to their voicemail box. Teacher will receive that via email and will be able to respond to it when they have time. There have been some major changes in regards to leave and time approval as well. For hourly staff, the new time clock software has been pushed out to desktops. Hourly staff will continue to use the old contract leave form that we've used for years. That leave form is going to go away in the fall of 2016, and hourly staff will use the time clock system to ask for leave. Salary staff has also been changed. We have moved to absence manager through ASOP. All leave will now go through there. The great thing is secretaries previously got a copy of the form and were asked to put that into SubFinder. The leave will automatically be entered into the sub-management system once the employee puts it in. The old business leave form that we used last year has been taken offline as we move to this new system. In regards to forms, there have been some changes along with those as well. The Marzano walkthrough form was completed in late spring and will be rolled out this year at the start of the school year for secondary buildings. We've been asked to also add elementaries into that, and that will happen during the fall of 2016. A new IIP form was created that principals got training on in June. The technology forms are moving as well to a different file type, and help desk requests will use that same file type. And then fall of 2016, some changes will also be made to the HR forms. In addition to the previous changes that we just talked about, there are some other changes that have happened that will have less impact on our average user. A new firewall was added at ESU, and that's going to support intrusion detection, some VPN, and then it also prepares us for 10 gig throughput, which will probably be a major change for next summer. We've also added new distribution switches at the elementaries, primarily to handle the additional access points and new access points that are coming in. These new distribution switches will support 10 gig. They allow us to manage the switches from a single server, and they support power over Ethernet, which has been one of the slowdowns in our current wireless system, or our previous wireless system.